Dear honorable guests, Assalamu alaikum and very good evening. I am Yasir Arfat, working at Center of Excellence CPAC, Ministry of Planning, Development and Reforms, Islamabad. It's a moment of honor and privilege for me to welcome you all to this conference, namely Regional Connectivity Prospects and Challenges for Pakistan. It's a collaborative effort to promote the effectiveness of CPAC by Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, Center of Excellence for China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Ministry of Planning, Development and Reforms, Islamabad. CPAC was initially a seed of friendship, which is now becoming a fruitful tree. Ladies and gentlemen, regional connectivity through China-Pakistan Economic Corridor provides a greater opportunity with 62 billion US dollars of financing equivalent to 20% of country's growth, which urges well for growth, industrial development, human development for both China and Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, greater cooperation and regional economic integration can bring about gains for South Asia and Pakistan, but there are several factors restraining regional cooperation. What are the prospects for regional cooperation and what is Pakistan's role in this effort? This keynote speech examines regional connectivity requirements, specifically enhancing regional infrastructure and agreements, improving conducive business environments, and investing in human development. Ladies and gentlemen, the outline of this key speech will be like strengthen regional infrastructure, benefits of regional cooperation for Pakistan, address policy barriers, tariffs, ease of doing business, EGIs, SMEs and trust, invest sustainable human development approaches, inclusive growth and exchanges. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Honorable Chair of this session, Dr. Gunter Sugiyarto. Dr. Gunter is currently working as Principal Economist, Pakistan Resident Mission, Asian Development Bank, Islamabad. Sir, please come on the stage. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite our guest of honor, His Excellency Shailya Jonono, Ambassador, Embassy of Republic of Tajikistan, Islamabad. Sir, please have a seat on the stage. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I am going to invite our man of the ceremony, respected Dr. David Arnold. Dr. David is currently the president of the Asian Foundation. Before joining the Asia Foundation, Arnold served as president of American University of Cairo for 7 years. Previously, Arnold served as executive vice president in the Institute of International Education, the world's largest educational exchange organization, and the Ford Foundation. Dr. Arnold holds a master's degree in public administration from Michigan State University and a bachelor's degree from University of Michigan. He received an honorary doctorate of humanities from Michigan State University. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I am going to invite our discussant of this session, Dr. Mangla, Professor of Finance, Emeritus, Howard College of Business, Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo. Sir, please have a seat on the stage. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Dr. Ijaz Ghani, Professor of Economics, PIDE, Islamabad. Please, sir, have a seat on stage. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have to start the formal process, so I request to the respected chair to take over the charge. Over to you, Dr. Gunter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, moderator. This session is really interesting, especially for me. And given the topic is really relevant for Pakistan now. Because when it comes to the regional connectivity, and when it comes to the prospect, actually Pakistan full of that. Regional connectivity in this region is becoming one of the biggest challenge, because we know that this region is more or less the least connected region in the world. And then second, we have two big things coming to Pakistan, which I found it very, very important for us to really look at this as a golden opportunity that should not be missed. Because if we miss these two things that are coming in a big way, then we are going to, I'm sorry to say, might be doomed to fail. The two things that I would like to highlight it before we start the session and link directly to the regional connectivity is about CPEC. We all know CPEC. And second is about CAREC. CPEC, in short, this is going to make Pakistan potentially connected to the global market through kind of Chinese kind of business way. While CAREC potentially will provide Pakistan with a complete access to the Central Asia. And then if we look at CPEC in the bigger picture, CPEC actually one of 6 big corridors developed under Belt and Road Initiative. If you look at the Chinese document, and you look at the One Belt, One Road, and now becoming Belt Road Initiative, there are altogether 6 corridors within this. I have a very nice picture on that. You send me email, I give you a very, very nice depiction on that. I like to put this in the right context first. And CPEC is actually one of the biggest corridor, one of the most potential corridor among the other 6 corridors within the BRI. Why? Because if you look at Pakistan geographical and position, yeah, Pakistan in the CPEC is going to provide not only China and Pakistan to the global market, but CPEC also going to provide all of the landlocked countries in Central Asia to get access to the Gwadar. So this is like opening up big potential that can come from the Central Asian countries. And Central Asian countries is also among the most disconnected regions because of the landlocked, because of the political situation, all of those things that we can learn later on from his speech. Yeah. So that's the background. So the connectivity in this particular region is becoming very important. Therefore, I'm really looking forward to our discussion today. I'm really ready to learn. And maybe because they asked me to be chairing in here, because we in ADB, we have a big project now, try to help Pakistan government to make sure that CPEC and CAREC should be part of Pakistan economic corridor development. This is the key message that I would like to first bring in this particular event. Not the other way around. So that Pakistan must make sure that Pakistan develop economic corridor in which CPEC and CAREC becoming the key component of that. This is the key success for Pakistan going forward to create 2 million jobs annually, to create more inclusive growth, to reach the full potential to become high middle income level. That's my introduction, right? Now we have a very interesting panels here. We have a guest honor, Mr. Sreli Jononov, sorry, Ambassador Embassy of Tajikistan. I know Tajikistan a little bit, and you are developing special economic zone as well. Very interesting that we can talk later on. Maybe I give you time to give your kind of initial intervention for this thing. You can sit or you can stand up there.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, dear panelists, guests to Islamabad, good evening, assalamu alaikum. The idea, I think, of being chosen to be here and among you belong to Central Asian region, which used to be, say, already here as landlocked region. Look at this map, please. Only it is says about the potential energy which Central Asia has. It's okay. It is. Yeah. Five countries. You see, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, they are rich in hydel, as it's mountain areas. Only Tajikistan, two biggest rivers, Sirdarya and Amudarya, starts. Total capacity of producing hydel, now we are carrying 45,000 megawatt, mostly based on the hydel. The same Kyrgyzstan also has great potential on hydel. Three our neighbors, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan, they have huge resources, oil and gas. With your permission also, I would like to also mention that we are working with Pakistan not only in CPEC also and CAREC, we are also working in multi-national forum and organization like SCO. Pakistan was joined to SCO as well as we are implementing a project of CASA 1000, which means South Asia, Central Asia, Transition Line, and TAPI as well as. Last week in Tashkent, head of railway authorities met. It's Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Russian Federation, and Kazakhstan, and they agreed to launch a new project, railway, which will connect Central Asia with Pakistan. Generally, this project has been developed by ADB, as you know it better. Now we are supported by all Central Asian countries. Hope will be soon, we'll discuss about also financial resources. So, it is our current situation in region, resources and demand in electricity. Just one sample. So, as you know, we in 2016 officially launched CASA 1000 project, which will be able to start by 2021, will be able to supply to Pakistan energy which is based on, we call it green energy. So, regional initiatives that's in energy. So, it is CASA 1000 project. We already completed all legal procedures. We have signed the latest contract on the connector station in Almaty. And we are in Tajikistan in beginning of 2019 will be start construction our part of CASA 1000. So it starts from Kyrgyzstan, goes to connect to Tajikistan, goes to Kunduz, Kabul, Jalalabad to Peshawar and Nusheira. In Nusheira you will be connect your national grid, inshallah. So next project it calls we know TUTAP. Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan transmission line. You know, the Uzbekistan officially also support CASA 1000, and in his speech in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Uzbekistan in Brussels, he said we will be constructing new line which will also connect to CASA besides the TUTAP and this project as well as. So, Third project goes to Iran, and it goes Afghanistan, Tajikistan. And I also would like to inform you that Tajikistan and Pakistan already are working in second line. Tajikistan capacity in energy is growing. In November, we already initiated first unit of the power station Ragun. So by it now producing starts 200 megawatt, but total capacity of this the power station 3,600 megawatt Ragun the power station, and it calls Tajikistan, Pakistan through Wakhan corridor. So you see how many potential energy only in Haidal available in the region. And Your Excellency, also we firmly believe if you pursue reform, very important, first of all, connectivity, your connectivity with region, regional cooperation, regional trade, regional investment, also people-to-people contact. In this way, we also focus on how Tajikistan officially requested to be fifth part of QTTA agreement. It is which transport agreement between China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Pakistan. And we also officially requested to be fifth part of. We are able to start our using ports from Karachi and the Gwadar to Khunjarab. It goes to Kashgar, Kashgar to Kulma Pass. So for Tajikistan, especially all entire Central Asia, CPEC is a very important project. It is will access one of the shortest way to seaports of Gwadar, not only to even to Africa and also Middle East. Central Asia also, during 5 years, we increased and developed our relation with Pakistan in all the level, including energy, including transport, economy. We set up already 6 working groups in different areas, like transport, investment, trade, energy, infrastructure. So it is also to be done a lot of. In this way, we also need your support in the DB, especially in Kasarem, in the project, in Karek, which will develop a transport corridor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's very nice to see how Tajikistan actually kind of preparing or start working on making connection within Tajikistan and within the neighboring countries, because regional connection can only start also with the domestic connection. Right? Yes. This is something which is also very important, because you cannot connect it regionally but disconnect it internally. This is something that must be done together. Yes. to get the full kind of potential from the global production network and global value chains. This is something that we can see from Tajikistan. Tajikistan link up with Pakistan, Tajikistan link up with other neighboring countries in Central Asia as well as to South Asia. This is such a kind of thing. But just to put in the perspective, this is not just monopoly of Tajikistan. Other countries actually in a similar situation now. If we look at the BRI, just to put the perspective, country involved in the BRI is about at least 65 countries now. And this total cost of the project around that is about $1 trillion US. And there's so many special economic zones going to develop under that. So how this kind of regional kind of connectivity going to be put in the Pakistan perspective, let's hear from a key speaker tonight, which is going to address exactly that issue. How kind of regional connectivity can be seen from the Pakistan perspective, right? Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention his name. Maybe you're already very familiar. He is Arnold, Dr. Arnold. He is the president of Asia Foundation in here. The time is yours.
Well, thank you very much for that extremely kind introduction and a huge build-up for the speech that I'm about to deliver. I feel greatly intimidated not only by increased expectations, but also to be in the presence of such a distinguished panel of experts on regional connectivity and people who are much closer to the ground level than someone coming from San Francisco, which is the headquarters of the Asia Foundation. So let me begin by expressing how honored I am to be invited to join the Pakistan Society of Development Economists here in Islamabad for your 34th annual general meeting and conference. Of course, I want to thank the sponsors, the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, and the government of Pakistan for supporting this important gathering, and also extend my personal appreciation to the people of Pakistan for your kind hospitality. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Asia Foundation, we are a nonprofit, non-government organization, international development organization, that is founded to help improve lives, expand opportunities, and help societies flourish across a dynamic and developing Asia. Our headquarters is in San Francisco, and we have offices in Washington, D.C., and in 18 countries across Asia, from Pakistan to China, from Myanmar to the Philippines, focusing on the critical issues and development challenges facing each country in which we work. The Asia Foundation's work remains as urgent today as when we were first established in 1954. For more than 6 decades, and with a continuous presence here in Pakistan, the Asia Foundation has developed strong ties and valuable expertise on local, regional, and international issues. We're very proud of our long partnership with individuals and institutions here in Pakistan in support of government strategies to deliver on its commitment to inclusive development and regional connectivity. In fact, regional cooperation and economic development are among the key pillars of the Foundation's work, as reaffirmed in our recent Asia Foundation 2020 strategic plan. We are steadfast in our commitment to work with government and civil society organizations to strengthen regional policy frameworks, to manage cross-border challenges, and prevent conflict. The Asia Foundation contributes to Pakistan's economic development through strategic research and building the capacity of practitioners to better face growth challenges of middle-income countries. We do this through initiatives such as a recent Asia Foundation Korea Development Institute study visit. And to enhance regional economic cooperation, the Foundation has provided support to the Pakistan-Afghanistan Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Strategic Sustainability Plan. And also, we are also proud to be affiliated as a knowledge institution with ADB's CARIC program. So with offices in Pakistan, China, and nearly all of the member nations of SAARC, we feel well positioned to foster increased international trade, connectivity, and regional cooperation throughout South Asia. There are many important developments that are taking place in the region and beyond that are shaping and providing the context for regional connectivity in South Asia. Throughout the region, rapid and sustained economic growth has lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. Regional and global economic integration has generated rising trade and investment within Asia and across the globe. And technology has accelerated change and created new opportunities in striking ways. At the same time, this region continues to face rising inequality, pervasive subnational conflicts, the challenges of urbanization, gender inequality, closing space for civil society, and the increasing adoption of protectionist economic policies by a growing number of countries. And left unaddressed, these challenges jeopardize Asia's gains and undermine its future prospects. Before I discuss regional connectivity and the prospects and challenges for Pakistan, I'd like to first highlight a few key data points related to Pakistan's economy to help ground and inform today's discussion. Pakistan, as a developing country, is one of the next 11. The 11 countries that, along with the BRICS countries, has the potential to become one of the world's largest economies in the 21st century. Pakistan is currently the 25th largest in the world as far as purchasing power parity, and is 38th largest on the basis of nominal gross domestic product. However, with a population of over 200 million, the world's sixth largest, giving it a nominal GDP per capita of about $1,500, Pakistan ranks 132nd in the world. There's no doubt that Pakistan is a land of opportunities, but sadly, many of those opportunities remain untapped. The World Bank's Global Economic Prospects Report for 2018 predicted growth in the Pakistan economy is expected to slow to about 5% in 2018 and 2019 from an expected growth of 5.8% in the outgoing fiscal year. Persistent policy uncertainty could dampen confidence and investment. Pakistan's economic management requires stabilizing the economy and undertaking structural reforms to address chronic underlying weaknesses. Over the longer term, persistently weak productivity and investment growth could erode long-term growth prospects that are keys to poverty reduction. Although poverty remains widespread, particularly in rural areas, the proportion of the population in Pakistan living below the national poverty line has actually dropped from 64% in 2001 to 29.5% in 2013. However, as was noted in Dr. Adil Najam's presentation earlier today, much more needs to be done to improve Pakistan's human development indicators. Against this backdrop, what are the prospects for regional cooperation and stability? What is Pakistan's role in this effort? And how does Pakistan stand to gain from greater regional cooperation? This is the focus of my remarks this evening. There's no doubt that increased regional economic cooperation and connectivity can further contribute to the wider region's stability. However, this overarching framework needs to be reinforced by action in three important areas. First, strengthening regional infrastructure. Second, addressing policy barriers at both the national and subnational levels as a complement to boosting regional connectivity. And third, investing in sustainable development through inclusive growth and people-to-people exchanges. I hope to elaborate on these issues, and I hope that we'll have an opportunity to discuss them in the Q&A session following my remarks. The first point I'd like to emphasize is strengthening regional infrastructure. In harnessing the potential of trade, some of the most successful countries, such as the economies in East Asia, Europe, and North America, have developed strong trade relations with their neighbors. Yet many countries in South Asia have trade regimes that discriminate against each other and thereby offset any natural advantages that exist by virtue of geography and proximity. South Asia, home to Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, is one of the most dynamic regions in the world, with a population of 1.7 billion people and average economic growth rate of 7.1% over the last decade. Despite its shared history, culture, and geography, as has been noted by my colleagues, South Asia remains today the least economically integrated region in the world, trading on better terms with distant economies than with their own neighbors. Intra-regional trade accounts for only 5% of South Asia's total trade, compared to 25% in ASEAN. Intra-regional investment is smaller than 1% of overall investment. Physical infrastructure and connectivity is also lacking, with even air travel between political and commercial capitals in the region extremely limited. Under the framework of greater regional cooperation and economic convergence, the idea is that the region can better develop, share resources, and foster a sense of common destiny and mutual belonging among its people. As posed in a recent bank analysis that raised the question of what if Trade between the countries of South Asia was valued at $67 billion a year instead of $23 billion a year. And what if bilateral trade between India and Pakistan were valued at $37 billion instead of $2 billion? Clearly, India and Pakistan have merely scratched the surface of their bilateral trade potential. Moreover, only a fraction of hydropower potential of the region has been tapped. Landlocked Afghanistan, Bhutan, and Nepal, as well as northeast India and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in Pakistan, could gain much from better transit and connectivity. Regional tourism could grow more quickly, as could trade and other services such as education, healthcare, and financial services. More foreign direct investment within the region could help spawn regional and global value chains. Pakistan has yet to fully leverage multiple regional cooperation and integration platforms. Several of these have been alluded to already, but such regional platforms include the SAARC Preferential Trading Agreement of 1985, the South Asia Free Trade Pact of 2006, and other South Asia trade agreements that have faced multiple challenges in helping South Asian economies reach their full trade potential. Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation, CAREC, is another opportunity for enhanced collaboration, having focused infrastructure investments to promote trade, but much more needs to be done on expanding and connectivity and taking advantage of these regional trade regimes. China clearly has a crucial role to play in strengthening regional connectivity. It's notable that this year marks the 5th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, an ambitious effort to deepen regional cooperation and improve connectivity on a transcontinental scale. Over the past 5 years, the 103 countries and international organizations have signed 118 cooperation agreements with China on the BRI. However, in Pakistan, no other policy initiative has received more attention or appreciation than the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, as has been referred to previously. Regional connectivity is a key element elaborated by the government of Pakistan in its Vision 2025, and in fact the document specifically mentions CPEC as an integral element in realizing the full potential of regional connectivity. With the completion of CPEC, Pakistan will become a connecting bridge to 3 engines of growth: China, Central Asia, and South Asia. CPEC therefore offers a unique opportunity to Pakistan to integrate with regional developments and to become a hub for trade and manufacturing, with Gwadar Port developed as an international free port. It's undoubtedly a massive project which offers enormous benefits for the people of Pakistan and the region. CPEC is expected to modernize Pakistani infrastructure, strengthen its economy by the construction of modern transportation networks, numerous energy projects, and special economic zones. Government estimates show that CPEC-related investment will spur economic activity and create about 2 million direct and indirect new jobs. While CPEC obviously represents a tremendous opportunity for Pakistan to realize the full potential of regional trade and investment, Pakistan would benefit from broader regional cooperation. CPEC alone is not enough. This brings me to the second theme of my remarks, which focuses on policy barriers at the national and subnational level, which are essential to remove to complement and enhance regional connectivity. What are the policy barriers impeding a balanced and equitable economic progress and restraining unmet potential in trade in South Asia? First, let's turn to the high trade costs and investment restrictions, which pose a significant barrier to regional connectivity. The costs of trade are disproportionately high within South Asia compared with other regional trade blocs. For example, the average costs of trade within South Asia are 20% higher relative to country pairs in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, 20% higher than country pairs in ASEAN, and over 3 times higher than the corresponding costs among the countries of the North America Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, formerly known as NAFTA, now known as Canada, Mexico, Canada, and the US. New name, same concept. The large gaps between actual and potential trade arise because countries in the region have erected barriers that include high tariffs and paratariffs, which are taxes levied on imports but not on domestic output. These paratariffs, along with widespread exclusions from tariff preferences in the form of sensitive lists, have rendered the region's free trade agreements ineffective, despite, as I mentioned, a regional South Asia Free Trade Agreement that came into force in 2006. It's noteworthy that these barriers have a direct impact on consumers. A 2012 study supported by our foundation found that non-tariff barriers end up costing South Asian consumers more than $2 billion each year. In Pakistan alone, the consumer welfare gains from increased regional trade would be more than $200 million, namely 60% of the value of imported goods from outside SAARC member countries. The Asia Foundation addresses these barriers by offering public-private dialogues with regional partners about the para-tariff and non-tariff barriers, working with business chambers. With an extensive network of local and regional partners in both government and civil societies, our projects extend throughout the country and the region and range from large nationwide programs to small local initiatives. The second barrier to regional connectivity is restrictive bilateral air travel agreements. Connectivity is poor between capitals. For example, there are no direct connections between Colombo and Islamabad, Colombo and Kabul, Colombo and Paro in Bhutan, and Dhaka and Kabul. Moreover, no direct connections between some countries, for example, Afghanistan, Nepal, and Bhutan, Maldives. However, there is progress made in enhancing greater transportation connectivity. In South Asia, bilateral air connectivity is best between India and Sri Lanka, which is a result of progressive liberalization of air services between the two countries. The economic impact of air service liberalization has reached far beyond the aviation industry. Improved air connectivity has facilitated more people-to-people contacts and enhanced the scope for deeper trade, investment, cultural, and religious links. The tourism industry has benefited in both countries, more so in the case of Sri Lanka. Other countries in South Asia can learn from this experience and strive for deeper air services liberalization with each other at both the bilateral and regional levels. Across South Asia, the private sector has a major role to play in increasing regional cooperation and economic integration. A dynamic and healthy private sector is widely regarded as the engine of long-term economic development. Countries compete to attract investment, and those that succeed in creating business environments that support competitive entrepreneurs have reaped significant economic growth. Therefore, a third factor restraining regional connectivity are the barriers to an improved business climate, including setting up businesses, accessing industrial land, arbitrating commercial disputes, customs, cumbersome customs procedures, and restrictions on foreign direct investment. In 2018, Pakistan was rated 136 among 190 economies, up from 147 in 2017 in the Ease of Doing Business Index, according to the latest World Bank rankings. Specifically, the government has been implementing an ease of doing business reform strategy starting in 2016 with measures to strengthen the business climate and foster private investment. Focusing on 10 indicators in the Ease of Doing Business Index, obviously the country has moved up from 147 to 136 in 1 year, which represents significant progress, but much more needs to be done. To address some of these concerns, particularly at the subnational level, The Asia Foundation has developed specialized tools to improve business environments. We work to increase the engagement of citizens, businesses, civil society, and other stakeholders in effective economic governance, including public-private dialogues, regulatory impact assessments, political economy approaches to economic reform, and a signature Asia Foundation initiative called the Economic Governance Index. EGIs in particular are indices of business climate that rigorously assess the progress toward improving economic governance through a set of quantitative indicators. They benchmark local economic governance and provide information and incentives for policymakers to improve the local business environment, emphasizing the policies, initiatives, and performance of local authorities. EGIs in each country have shown that local governance differs drastically across the nation and the region. The Asia Foundation first pioneered this approach, the Economic Governance Index, in Vietnam, and then has replicated it in other countries across the region, including Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Additionally, public-private dialogues are often used in conjunction with the EGIs in order to bring public sector, private entrepreneurs, and other stakeholders together to discuss ways to remove the barriers identified by the EGI and to have a tangible impact on economic development. In the countries where these processes have been established, local authorities use the information provided by the EGIs and the public-private dialogues to take practical measures to improve the local business environment. In addition, efforts are also needed to promote competition at the national level, especially for micro, small, and medium enterprises, the major source of employment for most countries in Asia. In Pakistan, SMEs constitute nearly 90% of the 3.2 million private enterprises in the industrial, services, and trade sectors, employing 70% of the non-agriculture labor force. These enterprises also contribute over 30% to GDP and 25% to the country's total export earnings. Their share in value-added manufacturing is estimated at 35%. Successive governments in Pakistan have tried in the past to focus on SME development, but the sector remains uncompetitive in world markets owing to structural weaknesses, obsolete technology, lack of access to credit and marketing and management skills, unfriendly business and regulatory environments, and other factors, despite various initiatives that have been undertaken at the federal and provincial levels. SMEs therefore need mechanisms through which they can get support in the different functions of the business, including technical upgrading, marketing, financial and human resource training and development. Unlike large enterprises in the formal sector, small enterprises are constrained by financial and other resources. According to a recent report by the State Bank of Pakistan, SMEs hold only 6% of the banking credit portfolio, while the major chunk of around 66% goes to large companies. Banks in Pakistan are generally reluctant to lend to small businesses. Most small businesses finance expansion projects through their own source of funds or informal credit, which is very expensive. Banks also have stringent collateral requirements for SMEs. Most lending is done by keeping fixed assets as collateral, and lending against movable assets is a rare occurrence. And these collaterals are therefore a huge barrier, especially to first-generation entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs. A final and important barrier to effective regional cooperation is the trust deficit and political tension that prevails in the region, particularly between India and Pakistan, which affects regional integration. A long history of mutual mistrust, negative stereotypes, and cross-border conflicts cast a shadow over cooperation efforts. Limited access to accurate information about neighboring countries perpetuates damaging myths, and in remote border areas in Bangladesh and India, a government-to-government initiative is actually helping to change cross-border relations, shifting the focus from smuggling and skirmishes to mutual economic gains and building a coalition for peace and cooperation to support country-specific trade issues. The Asia Foundation contributes to greater regional cooperation by supporting business communities and relevant stakeholders in Pakistan and Afghanistan and engaging them in a meaningful dialogue to explore economic opportunities. In this effort, the Foundation has applied a three-pronged strategy. First, producing research to help identify viable areas of policy improvement and business-to-business collaboration. Second, organizing the business communities in both countries on joint platforms, the Core Group and the Pakistan-Afghanistan Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in order to help improve interface mechanisms. And third, to improve the institutional environment for economic cooperation that helped Pakistan, Afghanistan to develop trade policies by streamlining capacity building support to the Pakistan-Afghanistan Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My third point this evening is the importance of sustainable and human development approach, including inclusive growth strategies that benefit women and youth. There are huge opportunities for inclusive growth in this country, including responding to the opportunities posed by a youth population and women who are largely outside of the productive economic sphere. Two demographic groups that have not fully benefited from Pakistan's growth process so far. As was noted this morning, Pakistan is currently passing through a demographic transition, which has resulted in a youth bulge with 63% of Pakistan's population comprised of youth, 69 million below the age of 15, and an increase in the working population as a share of the total population. However, to reap the demographic dividend of this change, the economy needs to provide education and create productive and remunerative employment for young workforce entrants. Foreign companies coming from outside of Pakistan, such as Uber and Careem, through their entry have acknowledged and signaled the economic potential of a nation with a young population. Pakistan also has the lowest rate of female entrepreneurship in the world. According to a Gallup survey, only 1% of women are entrepreneurs in Pakistan compared to 21% of men. Women's labor force participation of 24.9% is the lowest when compared to other countries in the region, India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Access to finance is one of the factors that's prevented women from engaging in engaging in entrepreneurial activities, with only 5% of women having access to an account at a formal financial institution. Beyond this, there are many structural, institution, and socio-cultural barriers that restrict the entrepreneurial capabilities of Pakistani women. A recent study looked at whether networking enables intended female entrepreneurs to overcome some of these social, cultural, legal barriers that are faced by women in Pakistan. The target population for this study was 950 women entrepreneurs, and the sample size consists of about 430 women entrepreneurs engaged in SMEs all over Pakistan. The study showed that networking is indeed a key element in supporting women's entrepreneurship. Capability and opportunity recognition were higher among those women who were young, engaged in networking, and who have business management backgrounds. Greater access to formal finance also can improve economic empowerment and allow an increasing number of women to participate in the formal economy. Efforts are being made to develop female entrepreneurship and to support women in micro and small business in Pakistan. However, a study by the Pakistan Microfinance Network demonstrates that these efforts are often piecemeal and inadequate, as they fail to ensure significant increased female access to financial products and services, and have had limited success in promoting the development of female entrepreneurs beyond small home-based businesses. To address these gaps, the Pakistan Women Entrepreneurs Network for Trade, WeNet, aims to be a representative, inclusive, and sustainable platform for women entrepreneurs in the trade of goods and services, and which was established and supported by the World Bank Group here in Pakistan. Moreover, innovation through digitization and entrepreneurship are playing their part in human capital development, with innovation in technology and other sectors creating new avenues for growth and livelihoods. Federal and provincial governments have set up funding windows and incubation facilities to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. And some of the startups by young entrepreneurs have generated very promising results. Technological innovation, if sustained and expanded, can play an important role as part of an overall inclusive growth strategy. They will also contribute to the diversification of the economy and to the creation of a knowledge-driven services sector. These initiatives demonstrate the role that NGOs and enterprises across Asia are playing, sometimes with government support, and sometimes through triangular cooperation agreements to advance inclusive growth and development. Organizations like the World Bank, United Nations, and the Asia Foundation have a role to play in facilitating these connections and supporting NGOs and private sector organizations to expand their reach and influence and to ensure that sustainable development becomes a priority and not just a consideration. In closing, the three issues that I've highlighted today are central to Pakistan's economic and human development journey. Regional connectivity requires enhanced regional infrastructure and agreements, improved, conducive business environments, and investments in human development. We believe that with increased focus on these three critical components, incidents of mistrust and conflict can decrease, and the opportunity for more legitimate trade, investment, and regional cooperation can increase. The end result will be enhanced economic opportunities for citizens throughout South Asia, together with greatly reduced threats to regional peace and stability. Thank you all for your interest and support, and I look forward to your questions and comments.
Thank you so much for a very comprehensive overview of the potential and challenge for regional connectivity from Pakistan perspective. At least I can highlight it three takeaways that I noticed from his kind of overview. First is that the huge potential of the regional connectivity that can bring to Pakistan. This is highlighted in his presentation in many different aspects, economic, social, as well as other aspects. Second, that I really like on the key three issues that he highlighted is on the policy barriers at the national as well as subnational. This is kind of soft infrastructure issue that sometimes we forgot about this. Because for me, actually the binding constraint of regional connectivity actually lie on this kind of soft infrastructure rather than hard infrastructure, because strengthening the infrastructure is easier rather than addressing the kind of soft infrastructure in terms of policy, coordination, knowledge sharing, all of those things. Yeah. The third one that I really like from Asia Foundation approach, which is also shared with us, in terms of the importance of having tools, analytical tools, to really understand the whole complexity of the issue and coming and helping in the evidence-based policy making process. This is also shared with ADB. In fact, we also developed 10 analytical tools that are going to be available for us, maybe, I promise you, maybe by June, for instance, June 2019. Some of them we already have, I can mention later on during the discussion, that analytical tools can be very powerful to help understand the issue and coming up with very convincing evidence-based policy making process and decision making in kind of very important areas here. We have two very prominent discussions, Dr. Mangla and Dr. Ghani. So I would like to give them time. You can, because this is the last session, you can take as much as time you can discuss. So maybe start with you, Professor. Thank you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful. It's a great honor to be in the company of David Donald, who comes from, I just found out that I have 3 commonalities with David, our guest speaker. He went to Michigan State, he went to UFM, and his better half comes from Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I've spent last 40 years. And all myself and my 4 children have went to all these 2 schools. So, David, it's homecoming. Okay? Go Blue, go Spartan, go State, go. Okay. David has served the global world, and in particular the US, as a public servant, and his achievements are enormous. And he has given an excellent presentation, has highlighted the importance of regional connectivity for a developing economy like Pakistan. He has described how Pakistan can benefit from regional connectivity and what policy options need to be pursued to boost regional connectivity. The paper highlights 3 important elements of regional connectivity, including A, regional infrastructure, B, and agreements relating to that, B, private sector developments, and C, sustainable development. You have hit on the nail on the 3 issues in your talk. The paper rightly points out that Pakistan can benefit from strong regional connectivity. I wrote the word if, and I'm now adding the word IFF. If it directs efforts at development of physical infrastructure with a focus on regional development, promotes private sector, and invests in sustainable human and other sustainable development. My third comment is that it needs to be realized that regional connectivity can be beneficial only if trade facilitation mechanisms are established to promote regional trade in goods and services. And as your meager data on those trade numbers in the greater Asia and Southeast Asia and in our context are very meager as compared to what they should be. In the context of South Asia, research has shown that intra-regional trade remains dismal due to the lack of trade facilitation. It is therefore imperative that Pakistan and other Southeast Asian countries work together to boost intra-regional trade through reduction of tariffs and non-tariff barriers, as well as better trade facilitation mechanism. That's where, David, organizations like yours and other public policy forums in America can help Pakistan in improving those numbers by using some of the political leverage and other non-political leverages in the subcontinent, in the Southeast Asian context. Fourth, I'm not putting the burden on the policymakers in the Western world, I'll come back to our own responsibility for our success of connectivity. The fourth point is enhanced regional connectivity offers an opportunity for Pakistan to diversify its exports, which are at present highly concentrated in a few products and few markets, as you have alluded to. If Pakistan is able to establish strong regional trade linkages with its neighbors and other trade partners in Asia, it can benefit from enhanced market access that can enable it to diversify its exports. We should learn from the experience of the mid-70s of the Western world, and more so from the United States, the period of stagflation. My hero is Paul Volcker, who really broke with an excellent public policy set by the central bank. And by 1982, we saw the lowest level of inflation in America after 1974 to 1981 with 15%. That's what central banks, and especially in this country, has to do. My last point is that with strong linkages across Asia and Middle East, Pakistan can also become a hub for foreign direct investment through better regional connectivity. In this regard, again, policy shift has to occur somewhere in the world. We always talk in the context of Pakistan, I call it 4 Ds. 3 Ds are conventional, known to economists: budget deficits, trade deficits, capital account deficit, and you have rightly pointed out, David, the 4th deficit, the trust deficit. Again, Western world should help Pakistan. Pakistan has made quite sacrifices in the last 20 years, and those should be hailed rather than tweeted. Okay. Pakistan needs to develop investors-friendly policies, providing efficient business environment, a point which you have emphasized, and special economic zones can help us to attract foreign investment. My so far comments were dealing with the papers, but being a professor, I always digress, and I want to emphasize for our own policymakers the following 3 or 4 key points or messages. Connectivity and CPEC alone is good. It's necessary. But being an economist, not sufficient. Okay. What is needed is transparency of data in the CPEC, a clear public policy debate showing cost and benefit analysis of each project. Okay. Rule of law and good governance. In 1991, one of my favorite presidents of the United States, Bill Clinton, coined the phrase, "It's the economy that's stupid. It's the governance is stupid in some part of Asian countries." We have to improve on that. $64 billion investment of CPEC can do nothing if the governance of those investment projects are not. And for every economic students, I wish Dr. Ishrat Hussain was here as it was announced. We should read the book he wrote recently, Governing the Ungovernable. That should be a part of textbook for our undergrad and graduate students of economics and finance. My colleague Major Hasnain of Lahore School of Economics, where I come for a semester, provided me few interesting historical facts in reference to connectivity from British India connectivity history. And I quote one or two from that. British ambitions about Grand Trunk Road. Dalhousie, the Governor General of India from 1848 to 1856, was inspired of all those who were working on the Grand Trunk Road. In the private letter to Sir George in November 1851, he writes, I have returned to Simla, the summer capital of the British India government. I have returned to Simla by the new road which I commenced 1 year ago in 1850, and it will not be surpassed by any mountain road in the world. About 40 miles are now finished. My project is to extend it to the Chinese frontier. I hope to see it well advanced through. I shall see it finished, and I shall feel a right to be a little proud of it. The dream of Dalhousie was ultimately fulfilled in 1968 when Pakistan and China agreed for the construction of an all-weather truckable highway passing through the highest mountain ranges of the world, Karakoram Himalayas, linking all commercial centers. And last, about this Grand Trunk Road, because connectivity, I couldn't find a better example than that. Benefits of the Grand Trunk Road are evident from the following passage taken from Oxford History of India. The people were disarmed with the northwest frontier fortified. Roads were built everywhere. And I skip. The short-term reward was great. By 1857, the new systems had so far won the martial people that when the mutiny came and provinces remained loyal while the Sikhs actively assisted in its supervision. I end my comment. I'm not an Urdu poet, but I loved it. Safar hai shart, musafir nawaz behte rahe. Many. Forgive me my pronunciation. Hazar ha shajr sayadar rah mein hai. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mangla. Just 3 points that I pick up from his discussion, which adding maybe more during the discussion later on. First is about the importance of trade facilitation in Pakistan. This is a big, big challenge, because if we look at the key challenge for Pakistan export, the declining and shrinking of Pakistan export, mainly because of these trade facilitations. Second is the need for diversification of Pakistan export. This is also well documented. If you compare Pakistan export in the last 20 years with the Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, or even my home country, Indonesia, Philippines, you can see the difference of product space of Pakistan export compared with those countries. Very distinct. I have the whole picture of that. And then the third one that I really like his remark is regarding that connectivity is necessary condition, but it's not sufficient. So we need to have add-on, very good add-on to this connectivity, so that the CPEC and CAREC that provide connectivity, in my view, that must be converted into economic corridor development that I'm mentioning before in my introductions. That's my kind of take from your discussion. Now I let Dr. Ghani to have your discussion, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's indeed my distinct honor to be a discussant of the special invited lecture delivered by our distinguished guest, Dr. David Arnold. I think the topic has great importance in view of the Road and Belt Initiative and then China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Regional connectivity has emerged as an important ingredient in the development strategies across the globe in view of greater focus on regional trade and investment linkages, as well as increasing regional concentration of supply and value chains. The shifting landscape of regional trade and investment has posed new challenges ranging from regional development of infrastructure to financial market integration, and from regional trade facilitation to harmonization of regional trade policies and standards, as Mangala Sahib has mentioned about the trade facilitation measures. Now let me, because this has been written in the context of Pakistan, so let me also mention a few challenges facing Pakistan in terms of establishing the physical connectivity. Pakistan has faced various challenges in promoting physical connectivity, including the poor quality of roads and incomplete road networks, the missing railway links, the inadequate maritime, poor infrastructure including dry port, inland waterway and aviation facilities, widening of digital divide, and the growing demand for energy. The country's transportation network is not modernized and is not equipped to serve the rural, urban, and regional needs, and it costs to the economy of about 4 to 6% of the GDP. To reduce the cost of transportation, Pakistan will have to upgrade the existing infrastructure, develop new infrastructure and logistic facilities, harmonize the regulatory framework, and nurture a culture of innovation. Pakistan shall have to take drastic measures to modernize its physical infrastructure to draw benefits from regional integration. In this context, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a mega initiative that will play a pivotal role in promoting regional integration, not only between China and Pakistan, but also with other countries in the region. Now, against this backdrop, Dr. Arnold has provided a thoughtful perspective on regional connectivity, emphasizing prospects and challenges for Pakistan. In particular, Dr. Arnold has stressed three key aspects of regional connectivity, including regional infrastructure, policy framework for a conducive business environment at national and subnational level, and investment in sustainable development. The importance of regional infrastructure is particularly acute in the case of South Asian region. As pointed out by Dr. Arnold, South Asia is the least integrated region, and you rightly said that the inter-regional trade is about 5% in South Asia as compared to 25% in East Asia. So this is the least integrated region because of the lack of physical infrastructure that underpins regional connectivity. In particular, air, sea, and land links are woefully inadequate to cope with an enhanced level of intra-regional trade. The research has been taken in PIDE on the South Asia Free Trade Agreement. So research at PIDE has shown that there exists great potential to enhance intra-regional trade in South Asia. But this potential can only be realized through better trade facilitation mechanism, including improvement of the regional trade infrastructure. Secondly, the paper emphasizes the need for addressing key policy gaps that hinder regional connectivity. In this context, the paper highlights trade costs that are disproportionately high in South Asia as compared with other regional trading blocs like ASEAN and NAFTA and so on and so forth. Furthermore, the restrictive bilateral air travel agreements constrain the mobility of people and goods in the region, thereby hampering intra-regional trade. Small and medium enterprises continue to suffer from lack of technology and other weaknesses which render them uncompetitive in the regional and global markets. Barriers to improved business climate constrain private enterprises that could potentially enhance regional connectivity. Besides economic factors, political tensions in the region have also constrained regional connectivity, especially between Pakistan and India. The paper rightly argues that investing in sustainable economic and human development should be a key goal of the development strategy. Regional connectivity may pose social and environmental challenges and need to be managed so as to maximize the benefits of enhanced regional connectivity. Furthermore, human development is not only a means but also an end of development. In this respect, policies need to ensure that human development remains a primary aim of all development efforts, including regional connectivity. Now, I would like to add that while Pakistan stands to gain from boosting regional connectivity, especially as a result of the China-Pakistan economic corridor, there is a need to develop a holistic approach to ensure that better regional connectivity results in robust and inclusive growth. In this context, there are 4 key areas that require attention. First, there is a need to put in place complementary policy reforms that not only aim to boost regional trade, but also put in place an efficient regulatory environment for regional logistics. Better physical infrastructure will result in lowering of trade costs only if modern shipping and logistics systems are in place, which require a supportive regulatory framework. Second, an effective institutional framework is required to manage regional connectivity. Regional connectivity involved myriad functions ranging from construction of physical infrastructure to customs procedures and from transport policy to zoning regulations. Managing such diverse functions is only possible if an overarching institutional framework is established that coordinates the activities pertaining to regional connectivity. Research has shown that an effective institutional framework plays a vital role in ensuring that countries are able to reap the benefits of enhanced regional connectivity. Third, harmonization of trade policies, practices, and standards across the region is essential to boost regional connectivity. A smooth flow of goods and services require that the international trade regimes of regional partners are synced with each other to minimize trade-related costs. Past experience has shown that lack of harmonization of such policies have led to the disproportionately high trade costs, thus hindering intra-regional trade. Fourth, Pakistan's initiatives to promote regional connectivity need to focus on the ECO region, as you very rightly mentioned, as a vital regional partner for boosting trade and investment ties. Recent research at PIDE has shown that there exists a great potential to enhance regional trade with the ECO region. In this context, the China-Pakistan economic corridor can play a crucial role in promoting connectivity with the ECO region. The region is energy abundant, and greater connectivity can help Pakistan develop alternative sources of energy required to fuel its growth momentum. So, regional connectivity can be instrumental in promoting economic growth, creating job opportunities, and reducing poverty. Through better connectivity and improved trade facilitation, the economic corridors can improve socio-economic conditions in the major towns and cities along the corridors. PIDE research on economic corridor development in Pakistan has provided a rigorous analysis of the benefits that can accrue through economic corridor development investments, including productivity improvements, industrial expansion, and broader socio-economic development. The study has demonstrated that there is significant potential to leverage ECD to develop production clusters in various regions of Pakistan, which would also take into account the socio-economic development of the different regions and lagging behind regions. Finally, enhanced connectivity is a key asset in attracting global investment and production, export promotion, and ensuring economic growth. Pakistan's locational advantage cannot be fully exploited without resolving the connectivity issue. With connectivity, Pakistan can align itself with global production and commercial networks. Enhanced connectivity is expected to bring about two major outcomes. First, the production and distribution networks in our region will not only deepen in terms of the value chain, as Dr. Gunter said, but also widen in terms of more goods and services. In this way, the country will become more entrenched in the global and regional production and distribution networks. Second, enhanced connectivity will reduce development gaps in different regions of the country, as the increased connectivity of backward region with the rest of the country will bring in efficiency gains. So Pakistan requires a long-term strategy to enhance its regional connectivity so that it can operate in an efficient and seamless manner. Therefore, necessary mechanisms and resources will have to be put in place for effective implementation of regional connectivity. Let me now conclude by congratulating Dr. Arnold for his very insightful lecture that has enlightened us on the role of regional connectivity in economic development with a particular focus on Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghani. It's very good overview of looking the whole issue of regional connectivity under the context of economic corridor development, which is also we share that idea before. And also the introducing new thing which not mentioned before, which is very critical. That is the kind of institutional framework needed for developing economic corridor development and to get benefit from the regional connectivity. This is such a kind of critical element for the successful economic connectivity and economic corridor development within Pakistan and beyond. With that, I think we are in a very good position to have further discussion, because many other aspects actually already expanded by the kind of two discussions that we have now. Just before starting with the question and answer, our ambassador just asking kind of permission to go out to say hello to the ambassador of Kenya, because at the moment there is kind of Independence of Kenya events in other rooms, but he is going to come back here. So I would like to open a kind of question, maybe 3 questions first. Please indicate yourself and to whom you would like to address your question. This lady in here. Second. One more. Okay, let's start with you, lady first. Yeah.
Sir, I have 2 questions, and it's journal. First of all, Route 08 passes through the homeland of Sikri of Makran region. Would CPAC not change the livelihood of people living out there? How you done researches over them ethnographically? A layman of Pakistan do not know regarding Zikriism. Have you not taken advantage of that? Because out of all the researches I have seen, no researches have been done on people, but rather on mere land. And every research shows the same result, that economic growth would be a panacea. What about our cultural and traditional epistemology? And it would be better if you please qualitatively answer my question in socio-political manner, rather than quantitatively saying it in economic sense. And the second question of mine is that you are making so many routes for facilitating people. Most of the people that I know are so poor that they can't even afford a vehicle. So what about, what will they do by these roads if they are already so stigmatized as underdeveloped mind and lazy youth? How can CPAC be able to abate this all? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question, please.
My question is to Mr. David. There are about 15 to 20 corridors that are coming up in South Asia. There are 3-4 being developed by India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. There are 6 which are being undertaken in Road and Belt Initiative. There are 3-4 which have been mentioned by Tajikistan. So too much of corridors are coming up. I fear that this region, instead of integration, may be distributed into corridors. So what is your take on this, please?
Last one, please.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My question was to Mr. Ambassador of Tajikistan, but he is not here. You can answer this question. What is the role of Tajikistan as Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, the regional integration program in present conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan? You can comment about this.
Okay, thank you. I will pass your question to him later on. Okay, maybe the first question I will like you to answer that. Being economist, I don't dare to answer that question.
So I think at the heart of what this young lady was raising is the importance of understanding not just the economic costs and benefits of physical infrastructure improvements for regional connectivity, but also understanding the social and cultural and political dimensions. And I fully support and agree with your basic point. I think it actually connects very nicely to the importance of emphasizing good governance and rule of law as a part of this process of CPEC, and also of open policy dialogue around, the plans for these infrastructure investments, and ensuring that the benefits that will be gained are broadly shared, and that people that don't have vehicles still have access to the economic opportunities that are presumably part of the process. So I think this is an area that perhaps has not had adequate attention paid to it in the rush to build the actual physical infrastructure part of the project. So it's an area that I think warrants increased focus and increased attention from the government of Pakistan as well as from the international donor community. Let me also comment on the specific question about how many corridors in South Asia. Are there going to be too many corridors? And I think the answer to that is hard to frame, partly because if the corridors actually connect with each other, you could have the benefits not just of north-south trade, but also east-west taking place. And that certainly is something to think about in terms of CPEC. It's not just Central Asia, China, Pakistan, but it's access to European markets that if you connect up with other elements of BRI, you're not limited just to getting things from China down to, Gwador. On the other hand, there is a serious risk of, I think the assumption is if you build it, they will come, and that's not necessarily the case. I think we've seen a lot of examples of what you might call white elephants, airports that are not being adequately used, port facilities that are duplicating port facilities other places, highways to nowhere. The region, Asia as a whole, faces enormous unmet infrastructure investment needs. And these are estimated in the billions and trillions of dollars. So you can ill afford to squander resources by investing in infrastructure that is not needed or that's not going to be used, but that simply serves as a political vanity project for whoever happens to be in office at a particular point in time. So I think there is a real need for reality-based planning and for very careful thought and consideration before you simply rush into building another, physical infrastructure corridor, and to make sure that there's actually a strong economic rationale for it, and that the benefits of that investment are going to flow to the people that you're trying to serve.
Thank you. I don't have much to add on those two questions. Thank you.
How about you, Dr. Ghani? You'd like to? It's fine? Okay, then, because still too many, to add something. I like your question. I just would like to put in perspective. The question of the non-economic benefit of CPEC is very relevant to be asked. And this is the big end. And this is the job of Pakistani or Pakistan government to make sure that the CPEC benefit is really applicable to all of the kind of other sectors, not just economy. Because you cannot ask China to make sure that the CPEC is also not affecting cultural aspect of Pakistan, something like that, right? So this is the job of Pakistan to make sure that the CPEC is going to be beneficial for Pakistan widely, not just economically. This is also in line with my first point that remember that CPEC and CAREC, you can see it from Pakistan perspective. This is two big rich guests coming to our house. It depends how are you going to treat these two guests. We must make sure that we should not allow the guests to destroy your kitchen or your bedroom, all of those things. That's my point, yeah? This is the analogy of that. Second, on the too much corridors, yeah? I think your question is kind of very relevant, but look at the situation now. Because these two regions, South and Central Asia, is the most disconnected region in the world. So, just at kind of the natural progression, if we would like to develop the economic corridors, and we would like to develop the kind of special economic zone, these are the areas that the potential benefit can be very huge. So the biggest question now is actually to make sure that the economic corridor that we develop, the special economic zone that we are going to develop, is going to be successful one. Why? This is the big thing that I'm going to reveal Friday morning maybe. But I give you a clue. Because in the special economic zones, the failure rate of special economic zone in the global context is very huge. And even in China, the failure rate of special economic zone is actually 77%. That means the success rate is only 23%. That's China. How about other countries? Of course lower than China. And China can convert the failure special economic zone into something more useful and merging into the one that successful one. So at the end, the overall result is fine. But in other countries, the story is not like that. He just mentioned about the white elephant. That's something that we must care. Because if we fail, I give you an example, if we fail in the 9 special economic zone that we are going to develop under the CPEC, that's very costly to the economy. So that we must be sure that in the 9 special economic zone under the CPEC later on is going to be successful. And by the way, the 9 special economic zone under CPEC is only a small component. Because if you look at on the list now, there are additional 57 special economic zones proposed across the countries. So we have 57 and 9. So we have 60 something on the line. This is in Pakistan. Yeah? So we must make sure, that's the reason why we're developing special economic zone framework that I'm going to explain in my session next time. Okay. I was asked to conclude the session now. Is there any burning question?
I think there was one question. There was one question on Balochistan. I think we studied.
Yeah. That's to ambassador, yeah?
I think there are spillover effects. If you we did a study. I think Gunter is familiar with that study. That was the establishment of economic corridors in Pakistan. So we took Balochistan, KPK, Punjab, and so on and so forth. So those were M4 linking Faisalabad and Multan in central Punjab, National Highway connecting Multan and Qilla Saifullah, N70, National Highway N50 linking Balochistan with the rest of the economy, and Express E35 from Islamabad to Mansehra in KPK onward to China and Central Asia. So our findings specifically with Balochistan were that there are very positive outcome if this corridor is established there. So it is generally acknowledged that investment in economic corridors leads to the economic development and higher standard of living of people via physical and social infrastructure. So there is a socio-economic development when there are health, when we talk about the health facilities and we talk about the education facilities, establishment of infrastructure, school, colleges, etc. So investment in physical and social infrastructure accelerates growth through its backward and forward linkages. So that is a positive kind of indication which relates with the connectivity. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just one or two more questions before I'm concluding the session. We have to do another session now. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this is the last session. No, this is not the last session. All right, sorry. All right, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought this is the last session. This is I was not informed about that. Thank you so much for all of the time. Let's give a round of applause to the kind of guest of honor and then the presenter and all of the discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the wonderful discussion. And now I request to Dr. Gunter to please present a token of appreciation to Dr. David.
Me?
Now I request to Dr. Gunter please present a shield to Dr. Manglasa. Now I request Dr. Gunter to please present a token of appreciation to Dr. Ijaz Ghani. Now I request to Dr. Mangla, please present a shield to Dr. Gunter. Please. Now vice versa. Thank you for the wonderful discussion. Now we are going to launch a fantastic book by Dr. Nadeem Haq. And I request to Dr. Nadeem Haq, please come on stage. We have a short announcement, please.
These were our technical sessions for today. Students are requested to kindly proceed for buses as buses are departing for the paid hostels. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nadeemul Haq, he was the former Deputy Chairman of Planning Commission of Pakistan. Now he is the current member of Task Force of Prime Minister for Civil Services Reforms. Please come on a stage. Sir, please have a seat. Now I request Dr. Asad Zaman, Vice Chancellor Pride, please come on a stage. Now I request Dr. Nadeemul Haq, please entitle us on his book. Dr. Nadeemul Haq, please, sir.
Acha Janab, it's late in the day, so I don't think we'll do anything big or long. Here's the book. It's called The University Research System in Pakistan. My friend Mahboob Mahmood, who owns a technology company, got in touch with me in DC and said, here's a study, you want to do it? I said, absolutely. So we went to about 25 universities, did a survey of about 500 academics. The question is very simple. Do we have a research system in Pakistan, Asad Sahab? And this is what the book is about. Do we have a research system? What kind of a research system do we have? I'm not going to talk about it at length. One thought that I'll leave you with, very simple. I think these guys keep mentioning I'm on the task force. I don't know whether that's an achievement or what is it. Why would you mention I'm on a task force? What is a task force? Task force is nothing. It's just a tea party. But that's beside the point. The point is there are about 10 task forces, there is one economic advisory committee, and there's not a single member of the university on any one of these things. So that speaks volumes for universities. If the universities, government doesn't look to universities for ideas, the government doesn't look to universities to come on task forces and ESC, I think it's a very, very sad statement on both sides. And we should think about it. And that's why we did this report on the research system. I will look forward to having more interaction with you people. I think I've talked to Tariq Banouri. We should have a bigger debate on this book, and we should talk about it and really put the question on the table. What kind of a research system do we have in this country? What kind of a research system do we want? What do we mean by research? What part should research play in this country? There are all kinds of buzzwords that are floating around. Like we heard about corridor. I don't even know what a trade corridor means. We all keep hearing about innovation, entrepreneurship, this, that, etc. I don't even know what these terms mean. Does anybody know about anything about these terms? So that's all I have to say. But if there are any burning question or anything, we can take them up, because right now it's too late. You've had a full day. I don't want you to keep up anymore. I don't want you to miss food. So unless you have any more questions, I'll stop there and I'll just say, hey, thanks a lot, and do look at the book when you have a copy. Andy? Please, come. Aye.
Well, you see.
Formally present to you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
असल में जो इन्होंने बात की वो तो मेरे दिल से बहुत करीब है, और टॉपिक विच आई हैव बीन यानी पैशनेटली कंसर्न्ड विद फॉर डेकेड्स, तो इस पे बिल्कुल कुछ न कहना जो है वो मेरे लिए मुमकिन नहीं है. सो बेसिकली डिस्कनेक्ट तो है, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट कि द एकेडेमिया स्टडीज ओनली थ्योरी एंड व्हाट दे हैव इज of zero value, in fact misleading and for the practitioners. तो दोनों तरफ से है ये मसला. कहते हैं कि उनसे आया न गया, हमसे बुलाया न गया, फासले प्यार के दोनों से मिटाए न गए, इस तरह के. तो यानी after you have a PhD in monetary economics from Stanford, if you go to the central bank, you won't have any idea कि यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, क्या कर रहे हैं. Normally this is the case. इसी तरह से if you study यानी most advanced रोमर फलाना जो भी आप जितने भी कर लें, आपसे पूछा जाए कि अच्छा भाई एक्सचेंज रेट में हमें फ्री फ्लोटिंग चाहिए, या you won't have any idea really. तो our education does not equip people to answer वो जो मोस्ट हॉरर स्टोरी है जो मैंने खुद एक्सपीरियंस की, आई वॉज टेकिंग एन इंटरव्यू ऑफ MPhil statistics for a job as a lecturer in statistics, and I gave them a very simple question of computing averages. मैंने कहा कि अच्छा हमारे पास 11 लोग हैं फैकल्टी में, 10 of them have salaries of, हमारे पास 10 लोग हैं, to make it easy, 9 of them have salaries of 1,000 each and 1 of them has 11,000 package, 20,000 हो जाए. So what's the average salary? Not one of 5 people who had an MPhil in stats could answer this question. But one of them wrote down the formula 1 over n summation I equals 1 to xi. मैंने कहा शाबाश तुमने बहुत कारनामा कर दिया, अब ये बताओ कि n क्या होता है xi. He couldn't answer that. So this is the level of disconnect between what is being taught and what the real world. तो अब इससे पूछना कि रिसर्च क्या होती है, यानी the standard paradigm for research is you pick up an article from AER and you change the names कि ये यहाँ पे USA लिखा है, इसमें पाकिस्तान डाल दो और डेटा सेट चेंज कर. ओह अच्छा, हाँ.
Let me ask you a question. I think quite frankly, let's not put the blame on the kids as well.
नहीं, I'm not blaming the kids at all.
मैं एक और बात कह रहा हूँ कि अगर आप सोचें कि अब हम लोग माशाल्लाह outgoing generation हैं, how have we influenced the policy debate in this country?
We haven't, because we don't know anything about what the policy issues are.
And quite frankly, I feel that after Mahbubul Haq, no, Mahbubul Haq had a big impact on this economy. His 22 families did sell.
Say, absolutely.
And the growth book did sell.
Absolutely.
We're still following that.
Absolutely.
But after that, I think all the economists kind of have not had an influence on the body politic or on the situation. Why? And we have no debates. I see that within the Pakistani economic community, the thinking community, there are no debates. There are no hypotheses. There are no thoughts. ये क्या वजह?
Well, I think it's too complicated and I don't want to. Yani, actually, your instinct is right. One shouldn't get between people and their dinner. तो जो मुझे कहना था कह लिया.
As you know, I'm not a command economy guy. There should be no natural research policy, not at all. No, I'm just saying. No, PT, let me stop you right there. हमारी research जो show करती है, as you said, as I told you, we've interviewed a number of, done quantitative surveys, online surveys, and we interviewed a number of academics across 25 universities and think tanks, etc. The fundamental finding is there's no demand for research either in industry or government. Absolutely no demand. Right? At the same time, there is no supply of research as well. Right? I mean, ये नहीं कि as if universities are supplying research. So universities are publishing only for the sake of Ataur Rahman के जी हमने impact factor करना है. They don't know what impact factor means. They just do it. Simple. But there is no supply or demand for research. जी नुज़रत. कौन स्पॉन्सर कर रहा था? कौन स्पॉन्सर कर रहा था? डोनर्स करते हैं स्पॉन्सर? नहीं, they don't come to donors. Donors are totally independent of the government. Okay. हाँ. किस पे? किस चीज के लिए? ठीक. बिल्कुल हमने वो सॉरी वो किया था ना competitive grants program. No, whatever. पैसे हमारे पास है नहीं. Government के पास कोई पैसे नहीं है. Government is bankrupt. So you have to take the donors to do it. But the point is, we did that. We did that through the university system, and that system worked very well. But then obviously donors don't want to continue. तो खत्म हो गई बात. But the point is, there are no research studies available in Pakistan. This is a big myth. Thinking हमारे पास बहुत research पड़ी है. We have no research lying around anywhere. Wow.
क्यों प्रोड्यूस करेंगे जिसकी कोई सेल नहीं है मार्केट में?
नहीं, you think of individual demand. There's individual demand को भूल जाएं. There is no demand by the government. Read my lips. There is no demand for research either in industry or in government. Zero. Absolutely no demand. ठीक है? We can't change that. Not at all. Not at all. There's only one place that there's demand for research, which is the donors. But the donors really don't have a demand for research. They have only funding that they want to give. They don't actually look at the research that they fund. So these are the things. ये चीजें हमने देखी और बड़ी चीजें ऐसी बड़ी चीजें. For example, research culture क्या? Research culture.
Let us continue this discussion over dinner. Ding 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 ding.
Dinner at poolside.